Welcome to Classified Black. Black. Classified.
Welcome, everybody. I am your host, a man in black, and welcome to Classified Black. Let's get into it right now. Privacy, mental privacy. I want to know how important mental privacy is to you, because neurotechnology is fast becoming the reality of today. Now, I did talk to you not that long ago about the problematic issues of artificial intelligence. And Jeffrey Hinton, who is the godfather of artificial intelligence, said that he was concerned about it learning so fast that it may outcompete humans, may even eliminate us. Now, here comes another technology called neurotechnology, which can also interfere with your private thoughts. Imagine that. Or will there be safeguards from you being able to have your most intimate, most private, most close thoughts, creativity that you want to keep private? Can it be tapped into? Let's say you're at work and your supervisor, your boss, has the ability through this type of neurotechnology to the brain to be able to check in on what you're thinking about. Are you thinking about work, or are you thinking about being at home, or something that's interfering with the productivity of the job? This may come down the line. It may sound out of a science fiction movie, but it's not science fiction. You see, mental privacy is very important because, first of all, you live as biological entities in this place called Earth, this world, the universe. As biological entities, you live in a world where mental health is a big problem of today's time and dimension. And on Earth, this planet we call Earth, they are doing a poor job of identifying and treating people with mental health. And then you have this issue of mental privacy. Let me give you a running breakdown of what mental privacy really is. Shall I? It goes like this. Mental privacy refers to the ability of individuals to control access to their thoughts, feelings, and other mental processes. Freedom of thought, on the other hand, it is the right, the God-given right to think and believe as one chooses. Now, a lot of folks in this place called America believe that one has the freedom of speech and that one is free. But we're learning more and more that freedom comes at a cost, and that freedom of speech is not always so free, and that you're not as free as you think you are. As I said on the last video, are you in control of machines, or are machines in control of you? This is something you must concern yourself when it comes to belief. Can one have a belief that they can privately hold to themselves, that they can choose without the interference of external forces coming down on you? Mental privacy is an important aspect of personal autonomy and is the protected under many privacy laws. It allows individuals to think, to reflect, and make decisions without fear of judgment and intrusion. But we know that in this world, this dimension, this third dimension that you live in, where you can see, touch, smell, hear anything around you, that your ability to go without judgment is a human frailty, because everyone is trying to be your judge, your God, your Lord. However, advancements in technology, and particularly neurotechnology, have risen a lot of concerns about the potential violations of one's mental privacy, particularly through the use of brain-computer interferences. Now, in this society, I can make a reference or an inference that most humans are controlled by their computer devices, a home computer, a desktop computer, a laptop, the computer that you have in your hand called a cell phone. You can't wait to touch it. You can't wait to see who's text you. You can't wait to hope to get a call. You can't hope to download that app. You can't wait. And you definitely hope that you can dabble in the apps that you've downloaded. You just can't keep your head from the screen. Therefore, you are under the control of the machine. And can you really believe that you really are in control of your privacy, mental privacy, when maybe the thoughts that are in your head were implanted there, not because you put them there, maybe because of the environment that you live in has put them in your mind, has influenced you, television, entertainment, cellular phones, technologies, artificial intelligence. All these things are having a field day on human expression in the human psyche. The advancement of technology have risen concerns about the potential violations of privacy, particularly through the use of brain computers, interferences, and other neurotechnologies. Freedom, as I said before, is not so free. The freedom of thought is the fundamental human right. So we, or you may think, biological humanoids. That fundamental human right, and is the essential. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, because things are starting to erode in this world you call Earth. In many international human rights instruments, including the universe, the Declaration of Human Rights, it is essential for the development of critical thinking. Critical thinking skills is most important, to think cognitively, to make decisions that are based on logical decisions, logic, but then common sense isn't always common sense. Critical thinking, creativity, innovation, and it is necessary for the exercise of other human rights, such as the freedom of expression and the freedom of religion. However, in some societies, freedom of thought is restricted. You see this in other countries where they don't let people think for themselves. You see this in countries where they control the news that you read, that you see, that you get exposed to. There are countries on this planet called Earth where people, if they were to protest and speak their mind, they could be crucified. However, in some societies, freedom of thought is restricted, and individuals may be punished or persecuted for the belief system that they have, their private thoughts coming back as a nightmare against them. Overall, mental privacy and the freedom of thought are the important elements for protection of individual rights and liberties. It is important for societies to recognize and uphold these rights while balancing them with all the needs for public safety and security. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's supposed to be all about.
Now I want to introduce you to someone, Anita Fahari, very intelligent woman. She is a professor at the University of Duke. She is the forerunner when it comes to this realities as it relates to neurotechnology. She recognizes that there are some safeguards that need to be put in place when it comes to neurotechnology. And let me tell you this, that there are some breakthrough positives to neurotechnology as it is being used for medical treatments and medical care. That's a positive. But as I had said before in the previous video, when it came to AI, technology can be used for good application and it can also be used for negative applications. She's very concerned about the mental privacy and how you can safeguard from neurotechnology being used for evil, used for bad things. This is Anita Fahari. I want you to hear an audio clip. She was a guest on Coast to Coast AM, and I thought she made some statements that made the hair rise in my back and made me think about some things. And that is, do we really control our own mental capacity to have our own thoughts for ourselves? And do we control those thoughts? With that said, let's listen to what Anita Fahari had to say.
It was really just, I've always been really interested in the ethical and legal implications, the social implications of sciences and technology. I've always been fascinated by science, but much more so what it means for society. So pursued degrees and ended up in academia studying these issues.
We are hearing so much about the brain these days. I mean, it's incredible. Neuralink, of course, Elon Musk's program and things like that. How is this all dangerous?
It's not dangerous, but if not implemented correctly with the right safeguards, it risks being pretty dystopian for society. You know, the idea of making our brains transparent could, usher in a new era of wellness and mental health wellness and the ability to finally know what's going on in our own brains. But if we can know what's going on in our own brains, that means that we've made it possible for other people to know so as well. And so without any kind of safeguards for mental privacy, it could be pretty bad.
Give us your definition, Nita, of neurotechnology.
So I define neurotechnology as the broad class of any of the technologies that enable decoding or changing the brain. And that could be very broad, right? I mean, if we're listening to a radio show, that means that we're changing our brain. So I mean devices and technologies that either are designed to actually look at the electrical activity in the brain or look at blood flow patterns in the brain, and then software like artificial intelligence that then interprets what those signals mean. So that could be something as big as a functional magnetic resonance imaging machine. This is like a big MRI that somebody goes into, and while they're in there, the blood flow patterns in their brain are studied and ultimately then decoded to see what's happening inside of the brain. Or neurotechnology that's coming, you mentioned Neuralink, it could be implanted sensors inside the brain that are designed especially for people who've lost the ability to communicate or to move, to be able to do so directly from their brains. Or what's coming now is wearable neurotechnology. These are sensors, much like the sensors that are in a smartwatch or in a smart ring, except they're in earbuds or headphones or, in a forehead band that pick up the electrical activity in the brain and can be decoded to pick up basic things like, are you paying attention? Is your mind wandering? Are you happy? Are you sad? Basic emotional states.
The title of your book, The Battle for Your Brain, is pretty provocative. What does it mean?
It means that the kind of final frontier, as I see it, for privacy, or the final place that corporations and governments are really trying to get access to, is what's actually happening in our brains. And that's not just what's happening there, but is it possible to change it? And so, corporations have, for many years now, commodified, that is, bought information about what we do online, our financial transactions, our GPS location data, everything about us, to try to develop very precise profiles of people to be able to target them with advertisements. Now, the kind of final frontier of that battle is what's happening in our brains. And if corporations can have much more direct access to what we're thinking or feeling or our mental experiences, or if governments can have it, there's kind of a race to who will have access and what will they do with that access.
Is it like tapping into your phone, or is it even broader than that?
I think it's much more precise than that. So, your phone is still like the only way, all that can be picked up from your phone, which is a lot, is your location information, if you have GPS in it, or what you're saying, so your expressed words. When you're talking about neurotechnology, these are the things that can be picked up not through your words or actions. So it's not just what you say out loud, but it's what you're feeling. Are you feeling bored? Are you feeling engaged? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling sad? Are you paying attention when you're at work, or is your mind wandering? Those are the kinds of things that you don't say out loud on your phone that aren't able to be picked up and tapped into, but could be tapped into if you're wearing neurotechnology that then is intercepted, or if you're required, for example, in the workplace to wear brain sensors, which has happened in some workplaces around the world. Can your employer literally, kind of peer into your brain and see, are you paying attention? Is your mind wandering? Are you surfing social media instead of doing your work? Are you falling asleep when you're at the wheel when you're a commercial driver?
Nita, on the upside, let's talk about the benefits of neurotechnology. What do you think they are?
I think they could be vast. So, right now, if you look at mental health across the world, it's getting worse.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Physical health and longevity are improving. More than 1 billion people worldwide.
I want to stop it there because she mentioned mental health. I had mentioned that, and that is a serious problem that is plaguing biological entities, humans in this case. It is a serious issue.
Worldwide suffer from depression or mental illness or drug use disorders. 55 million have dementia. 300 million suffer from, specific kinds of depression. These are not good numbers, and we haven't traditionally treated brain health and wellness as seriously as the rest of our physical health, even though it's so critical to who we are as people. And if you could use brain sensors to finally make transparent to ourselves what's really happening in our own brains, if we could track our brain health and wellness the same way that we track the rest of our physical health and wellness, that really could reverse those numbers. That could make it possible to pick up the earliest stages of, neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, or be able to detect things like depression or the earliest stages of aggressive brain tumors. I think that could be incredibly promising, for people who have suffered from neurodegenerative diseases where they can't, speak in the same way that they used to be able to, or move in the same way that they've been able to. Using their brain to be able to could be enabling for them. It could make it possible for them to interact with the rest of the world. And that could be true more broadly, too. There's the kind of promise of much more seamless ways of swiping or typing using our brains directly as our.
How many pats on the head and people telling you you're mute?
Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. That was an audio clip. Excuse the last part of it, but you got the gist of what she was saying. I don't know how many of you out there have given a lot of this thought, but it's something to definitely take serious when it comes to your mental health as well as your mental privacy, as I had broke down to you what that means. Do me a favor and make a great choice by commenting on this video and giving me your thoughts about what you thought about the idea of neurotechnology. It has application, as you could see on the video sliders that I had. It can be used to help people with cancer, brain tumors, and what have you. So all technology has some positives, and all technology has high inherent negatives. And what Anita Fahari is trying to do is that she wants to figure out ways to safeguard it from not going to that level. As she spoke, there are already countries where supervisors and bosses can tap into their employees' minds by having them wear apparatuses in which they can get data as to how they're thinking, what they're doing, and what have you. Remember, you live in a world where there are countries where there is dictatorship, complete dictatorship, and citizens may and have to fall in line. I want to thank you for watching the program today, this evening, this night, wherever you are in the world. I appreciate you. With that said, I want to say thank you for listening
To Classified Black. Subscribe, like, comment, share the video. If you dare.
Buzz and Blue the variant.
Classified Black. Classified Black.